Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Mina, and as you can tell by the title, this week we are doing something I've never done before. We are doing a full week of me reading on my iPad. Now, I don't have an e-reader, and I'm thinking of getting one, and I feel like this week will cement if I want to get one, or if I should get one because I want one, or if I want one just because of the hype and because of what everybody else is saying about it. So I'm going to be reading from my iPad for the entirety of this week. I'm not gonna pick up a physical book. I'm not gonna pick up an audiobook. Maybe I'll pick up an audiobook, but I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that's gonna happen. We are going to be doing all of my reading this week on my iPad. I have some books that I'm very, very excited for. I don't have a TBR right now as I'm starting this intro, but I have the first book in the off-campus series. I have the first book in that one Lauren Asher series. I have that. I think the first book is called The Fine Print. I have that. I have the Addicted to You series, the first book in that series. I just have a lot of series. Okay, let's leave it at that. And I'm excited to get into some of these because I have been meaning to get into them for the longest time, and I've kept myself off of them until I reached single digit numbers in the series that I'm in the middle of. So since that's happened, this is what we're going to be doing this week. I'm going to be reading on my iPad. I'm going to tell you updates, which books I start, which books I finish, how many books I finish, if I read a little bit faster on my iPad versus in a regular book, and if I enjoy reading on an iPad enough to buy an e-reader like a Kindle or something like that. So join me this week as we see if I'm just wanting a Kindle for the hype. Today is the first day of the start of the week where I read on my iPad for the entire week. I started The Maddest Obsession by Danielle Laurie, which is, I believe, the second book in the Maid series, because I read the first one, which I believe was about Nico Russo. And I read this a very, very long time ago. I wasn't even interested in reading it, like reading the second book or reading the third book. I really hadn't been into romance at the time, or like this type of romance, I believe. Like, you know, the dark, grungy type of romance where like they're in the mafia and there's death and killing and all of that. I used to like very cutesy romances and only that. And now I saw a post of this, or like a quote, like a page slideshow on TikTok, I believe, a quote from this book, and so I decided to give it a try. Because why not? I'm interested in reading a little bit more dark romances, and I think it's fun to brighten your horizons and try something new. And so I'm giving it a try. I believe I read Sweet Belly and Nico like maybe like 2-3 years ago, if not more than that. And I believe it was during the era of when I was reading like Punk 57. If you know, you know. I can't believe I read that. That was a period of my life where I really wasn't into that genre, but I was reading it just to find out if I liked it or not. And now that I'm a little bit older and have read a lot more different books and a lot more different genres, I feel like I can appreciate it now. And plus, my taste in romance has changed as well. So I have been reading. I spent a lot of my day reading today. It's very easy to read on my iPad because I'm usually on my iPad anyways, like watching YouTube or watching Netflix or just being on Pinterest. And so whenever I get bored out of all of those apps, I can always just enter my book app on my iPad and just read the books that I have, which is a lot. Like, look at this. And then, do you see what I mean? And like, these at the bottom right here, I've finished these. And then these up here are ones that I want to start. I decided to start with The Maddest Obsession because I read the first chapter like a month ago and then I didn't pick it back up. And so I decided to pick it back up again today because I was already halfway through it. And then once I finish it, I probably will finish it this week. I'm 50 pages in. I'm 17% in, and I'm really enjoying my time reading it. It's basically like a mafia romance, a very dark romance. There's like drugs and alcohol and all of that fun stuff and killing and whatever. And there's domestic abuse. Always read the trigger warnings for any book you go into. I personally don't read the trigger warnings for my books because I like to be surprised. But if that's kind of stuff like triggers you, then I always will say to check the trigger warnings. But yeah, I've been reading. I've read 45 pages and I believe I'm gonna read a little bit more today because I have nothing else to do and I'm really bored and there's not a lot of content from the YouTubers that I watch. And also I've already watched like 3 episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and I kind of want to, you know, go into reading so I feel like a little bit productive, even though usually on Sundays I don't read and today is Sunday and usually I don't read on the weekends because obviously that's the day when I'm doing my chores and doing my reset. But I felt like might as well because I usually do tend to read at least 10 minutes a day. I have like this book that I go into. It's like a self-help book, but you read an entry every day and it like talks to you about something. And I've been reading that book for almost a year now and it's like 365 days of like messages to yourself to help you be a better person. So I'm almost done with that, but I do read at least 10 minutes a day on my iPad. So usually I think I'm on a 100-day streak as of today on my iPad. Let's check. Yeah, I'm on a 100-day streak of reading for at least 10 minutes a day on my iPad, and usually that'll just be that one book and then I'll highlight some stuff and think on it and write some notes. But yeah, so that's the plan. The plan is to read a little bit more of The Maddest Obsession. That'll probably be really easy because it's really easy to read and I'm actually really enjoying myself reading it, which I didn't expect. But it's very easy to read, very quick to get through. I'll probably finish it within the next couple of days and yeah, I'll give you an update probably later tonight. Apologize because I actually didn't end up updating you last night or this morning. I am having a day and a half. So let's rewind to last night. I ended up reading another 50 pages before I went to bed because I believe in the update I told you that I was going to read a little bit more and so I did. And then this morning I picked up my iPad again and I've been reading and I believe I stopped at page 106 and now I'm on page 190, which is exactly 75% through. I'm on page 190 out of 252, and I believe I'm going to be able to finish this today, which is not bad. According to the timer on this app, I've read for 66 minutes today, so that's an hour and 6 minutes, which is not bad. I've read like 90 pages since I started this morning, or less than that, honestly, at this point. But yeah, so I am enjoying the book. It's very smutty, which is to be expected from the main series because I feel like the first one in the series was also very smutty. I don't know that I'm gonna read the third one because it follows a different character and I'm not really all that interested in that story. The only reason why I picked up this one was because of a TikTok slideshow video that had a quote from it or like a page from it. So I decided to read it, but I don't know what book I'm going to pick up next. I guess I'll show you before I pick it up. I'm not really sure. I got some other books today. I got The Ritual. And what else did I get? I could just check my iPad because, you know, it's right here. I got God of Malice by Rena Kent and The Ritual is by Chantal Tessier. But I also have Heavenly Bodies by Imani Iru. I think that's how you say their last name. And I have Psycho Shifters by Jasmine Maas. It's so easy. Like I said, my iPad is always on me. And so whenever I have time or I'm not doing anything or there's no YouTube content to watch and I'm sick of my Netflix shows, I can just go into the books app and read. And so I feel like that makes it easier than going to have to go get a physical book and read it, even though it's the same thing technically. It's much easier to annotate as well. There's some funny lines in here. Very intense, very intense. If you like dark romance, I think you would like it. I can't really tell you what it's about because that would spoil the first book, but just know it's like a mafia dark romance type of romance. And I'm sure if you look up like an aesthetic on Pinterest or TikTok, then you would be able to find it and find what it's about better than I can explain it. But yeah, that's where we're at today. I'm really enjoying my time reading this book. It's reading very quickly, and I think that's why I'm enjoying it, because I don't feel like I'm having to force myself to read. The romance is just so easy to get through, and dark romances usually are. So, but they are obviously, as assumed by the genre, they are very dark. So I would look up trigger warnings. There's like death and blood and gory scenes and like SA. It's all the trigger warnings, honestly. Death, violence, all of those. I'll see you later with an update, probably tonight. Yeah. This might be some really awful quality video, but it's really dark in my room, and this is the only window that I have. Well, I mean, I have two windows, but they're on the same wall. So this is me coming to you as if we're on FaceTime, and I'm talking to you from my bed, in front of my window. So I have some lighting. But as you guys saw, I finished, what was it called? The Maddest Obsession, I think that's what it was called. I gave it 3.75 stars because as far as dark romances go, I think it was probably up there. I liked it better than I liked the first one, or from what I remember, because I remember thinking that the first one was so cringy. I didn't really care for Nico or Sweet Ibelli. I really didn't like that he called her that, to be honest. I feel like I liked this one a lot more because it seemed like there was more chemistry, at least in my opinion. I really liked Christian. His backstory is so sad. When he tells her, if you think I'm handsome now, I was even better looking as a child, or like as a 10-year-old or something like that. That broke my heart. His backstory is so devastating, so genuinely devastating, like that I actually had to sit there and be like, oh my God, this poor thing. I can't believe what he's been through, and no wonder he's the way that he is. It makes so much sense. I really liked Gianna. I thought she was a very interesting character. I like headstrong characters that don't really just, give in to the guy the minute that he wants them, and I think their story felt like a lot more than just physical attraction. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it 3.75 stars. Definitely up there in terms of dark romances that I've read. Not that I've read many. I think this may be maybe my third or my fourth one. Now, when it comes to what I want to read next, let's consult the iPad, why don't we? So, by the way, what's really satisfying is that I read for exactly 100 minutes today, if you can see. But it might be flipped, so I don't know. These are the options, and I'm excited for all of them. I really want to start The Deal, and I really, really, really want to read The Wrong Bride, and I really want to pick up Heavenly Bodies and Psycho Shifters. But I don't think that's gonna happen, because hear me out. I have The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, and it's been on my TBR for a very long time, and I've heard that it's not the best out of Lauren Asher's works. I read Love Redesigned at the beginning of this year in February, and I absolutely ate it up, and I've been waiting for the second book since I read that book. And so now I'm like, maybe I should just read The Fine Print and call it a day, so then I can move forward with the rest of her works, because I know she has that one Throttled, I believe, and there's other books in this exact series that follows different characters from what I know. But I don't know, because I also really want to read Flawless, the Chestnut Springs series. And to be honest, I have Bride on here, and I really, really want to reread it. And I'm trying to stop, because I literally read it this month. I literally read it like 2 weeks ago, and I'm already thinking of rereading it, and that cannot happen. So I think what I'm really actually going to do, The Fine Print, I feel like is what I'm going to pick up next, because it's been up here for a very long time, and I'm sick of looking at this cover and being like, I need to get to this, and I haven't. And it's the one that I'm least excited for out of all of these. I know it's not bad, but it's probably not going to be as good as Love Redesigned, and that's going to disappoint me. But I'm going to go into it with decent hopes, but not overly hype hopes, because I feel like that will only let me down. And then maybe if I get bored, I'll reread Bride. I love that book. I ate it up. Absolutely ate it up. I don't want to hear nobody say nothing to me. Don't talk to me. If you have any more recommendations like Bride, please tell me, because I need them. Yeah, and then I think after the fine print, maybe I'll pick up The Deal, because that one has also been on my TBR for a very long time. It's either going to be that or Addicted to You, because I heard Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I'm going to go into the fine print either today or tomorrow, because like I said, I've already read 100 minutes today, and that feels like a lot. But I might watch me an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and then maybe read a little bit before bed, but I'm not sure. We'll see. I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated, but that's that on that tonight. Allergies are beating my ass today. This entire week I've been struggling, and it's very, very hard to read while my eyes are burning and my throat is tight. It's been very difficult for me to read today, and also my brain has been everywhere, and so I really haven't felt like reading a lot today, and I didn't force myself to read. I started, as you guys saw, the fine print. The fine line. Why do I want to call it fine line? It's not called that. I started the fine print and I'm 8% in. I stopped on chapter 4, which is page 27. This entire ebook is 336 pages. I read for 34 minutes today, and that was about all I had in me. And I had to basically drag my feet to read those 30-ish pages. It's not bad as a book, but I feel like just because I just read a romance that was kind of like a billionaire mafia romance. Mind you, it was a dark romance, and this one is a little bit different. This one is just a regular romance book. But he's a billionaire, and he basically owns the Disneyland of this fictional world, and he's the CEO of it, or he wants to become the CEO of his grandpa's company, I guess. But he's not allowed to take it over because his grandpa passes away, and he tells him that he can only have his share of the will if he follows through on making the Dreamland place better. The girl that is the love interest is a employee at that company, and he meets her in this meeting that he's just being introduced to the company in, and she's a doesn't shut up, doesn't back down type of girl, and he's like, oh my god. And the minute he sees her, he is lusting after her and desiring her. When was the last time somebody has made me feel this way just by being near me and touching me accidentally and all that stuff? So he's already kind of wanting her, which I don't like. I don't like it when it's insta-lusty. I don't know that it's that way from her point of view. From the one chapter that we got in her point of view, she really wasn't really all that, wooed by him. So I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this, just because it seems a little bit to be honest, but I'm gonna try my best to pull through, because I do love Lauren Asher and I love Love Redesigned, and I really, really enjoy her writing and the way that she writes men. And I don't know if that was just because that I read the Love Redesigned book that I really enjoyed her writing and the character, because Julian Lopez is that guy. But this one is reading a little bit different, which is normal. Obviously, you would expect that from a book that was written way before Love Redesigned. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with the rest of the series. The series feels like very OG book talk, booktube type of book series. So I feel like I have to. Once I read the first book, then I probably will continue on with the rest of them, because they're very easy reads and easy for me to get through when I'm reading very long books or stuff like that. So I think when I do need a short, easy romance, then those would be faster for me to read, obviously, but I don't know, like I said. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Sorry today was so short and not filled with a lot of updates, so I'll see you tomorrow for hopefully a better update and a better reading day, because this sucks. I hate not reading enough in a day. So yeah, I'll try not to beat myself up too much for it, but it does suck still. today, as you guys saw, I decided to DNF. I'm soft DNFing. I've decided to soft DNF it because I could hard DNF it, but I feel like maybe one day I'll feel like the vibe is there and I'll want to read it. But I did end up soft DNFing Fine Print by Lauren Asher because I just don't like the insta-lust part of it. I've never liked stories that involve a character immediately wanting this other character. I think I DNF'd another book that was also this way. It was called Bear to You, and it was also a romance novel, and I did end up DNFing it because I was like, I don't want to read a book and then the minute that the characters meet, he wants to sleep with her. I don't like it, or that she wants to sleep with him. So I decided to DNF it and start instead Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which is part of the Addicted Calloway Sisters series. I'm not really sure. All I know is that it follows different sisters. This is like a TikTok phenomenon, book talk phenomenon. Everybody and their mother talks about the series, but everybody says that the first book is always the hardest to get through because it's the worst out of the rest of them. At least that's what the booktubers that I watched have said. I don't understand why they say that because I feel like this book is very interesting. I don't think I've ever read a book about a character that has a sex addiction. Apparently each book follows a different sister with a different addiction from what I know. I could be mistaken. This story is basically about this girl who has a sex addiction and she's pretending to date this guy who has an alcohol addiction, and they pretend to date to get their parents off their backs, but they basically let the other do whatever they want to do. And I think it's one of the most interesting premises that I've ever read about. So I started it today and I ended up reading for like an hour, which was 46 pages, and I don't think I'm going to stop there. I think I'm going to continue because I'm so interested in the premise of the story and I want to see where it's going. It reads very, very quickly and it reads like something I'm watching. It's the strangest thing because I feel like I'm reading it and like experiencing it at the same time, and like I know these characters and like I know them as people, which is so interesting, and I'm enjoying my time with it. And I'm definitely going to read a little bit more today because I feel like I have nothing else to do. I just got home from work and I don't have homework. I don't have obviously anything else that I need to do, so I feel like I can just sit and probably binge a lot of this book. Hopefully I can get to like 100 pages today. I think if I do get to 100 pages today, then I'll probably finish it tomorrow because half of the time today I wasted reading another 50 pages of the fine print, and when I could have been reading this one instead. And then I decided I might as well just pick it up and see if I like it or not, because it was either between Addicted to You or it was the Off-Campus, first book in the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy, I believe. And I've decided to leave the Off-Campus series for a little bit longer and read it a little bit later, or maybe once I finish this first book in this series, then I will get to Off-Campus, the first book, and see which one I want to continue with first, but I'll probably end up reading both of them. I'm going to read a little bit more, but I just wanted you to know that's the update for right now. I'm having the best time reading this book, and it's very interesting, and I want to see where it's going to go. I'm really intrigued to see how the story is going to tie together. Very slow reading week for me. Usually by this point, by today is Thursday, I would be done with at least 2 books, halfway through a third, and I'm not. I'm less than halfway through my second book of this week. And as you guys saw, I already told you I started Addicted to You by Krista and somebody else, Richie. I am now 102 pages in, which means that I am 36% in. And I want you guys to know that this book is so easy to read. This book is so easy to read. I read up until 50 pages yesterday, I want to say, and then I read the other 50 pages today, and I was going to read a little bit more. I probably will because I have nothing else to do, and I'm really enjoying myself with this book. It's very, very interesting to read about a character that has such an addiction that when you think about it, you don't really think about it as seriously as this character is taking it. Like, reading about Lily struggling with the way that her body needs this release is so entertaining and so interesting because I've never read about a character like this or read about an addiction like this. And so I think it's very eye-opening, and I think it feels like I'm reading something new for the first time, which I can't remember the last time I read something that I was like, oh, I've never read anything like this before. So it reads very, very quickly. I'm really sucked into the story whenever I actually do pick up the book or my iPad, I guess. I'm really, really sucked in so quickly into the story to where it feels like I'm not even reading, which is such a fun experience because then it feels like I'm like in this story with these characters, knowing who they are, knowing what is going on, and I actually have a lot of stake with them. Like if they're about to be found out, then I'm about to be found out, or like I don't want them to be found out and I'm feeling so stressed for them. And like whenever she doesn't get her release, or he doesn't get his drinks, then I'm like, oh my god, and I'm so stressed out for them. And for that reason, I think it's definitely going to be a higher rated book for me because it's one of the very first times that I read about characters that have actual real addictions that feel like a problem that they can't control. And also it's so easy to get absorbed in the story and feel like I'm reading something new for the first time, and it feels like I'm involved in the story for some reason. I don't know why. It's the strangest thing, and I did not expect that from this book. And so for that reason, I'm really enjoying myself reading it. Like I said, I'm reading it very, very quickly. I read for 47 minutes today and read the 50 pages, and I'll probably read a little bit more before the end of the day just because I'm really interested to see where this goes. If I don't finish it today, which I don't think I will probably finish it tomorrow. I will update you maybe tonight or tomorrow. I'm sorry that this video has been all over the place and I don't have a lot of footage. At least it doesn't feel like I have a lot of footage, but that's just because it's been a very hectic week and I hadn't planned on it being a very hectic week, not work-wise, not family life-wise, not personal life-wise, and so it's all been very up in the air, and I'm glad that I'm doing a video where I'm reading from my iPad, because if it was a physical book, I don't know how many times I would have picked it up. So at least that's come of it, to know that even when my days are very, very busy, I can count on myself to get even just 50 pages of reading in a day. Tomorrow is Friday, so I think Saturday will be the last day that I do this video, and then we will regroup and do the wrap up like I usually do. 10 of the day. It is Friday today, and as you guys saw, I finished Addicted to You. I keep forgetting the name of it. I finished Addicted to You by Becca and Christy. Oh, I don't know. I just look it up. Oh my god. I finished Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and I want to give it 3.75 stars because it's not my favorite book, but also it's very, very interesting. It was very interesting, like I've said multiple times at this point, to read about a character that is so addicted to something that you don't usually think of when you think of addiction. At least I don't. It was very easy to read, very easy to get into the heads of the characters, and I felt like I was forgetting my real life and real surroundings whenever I read the book, and so I always think that's a good sign, and I really, really liked it. I don't think it's the worst book I've ever read, so I don't know why everybody has such a hard time getting through the first book. I didn't have a hard time. I read it in 2 days, and I really, really had a good time reading it, and I think I will be thinking about this book forever, or for a very long time at least, because it's so different from everything else that I've ever read, and I don't think I will ever read something like this ever again unless I seek out something like it. But I didn't even know what this book was about when I first started it. All I knew was that everybody on TikTok and everybody on Tumblr and everybody on Twitter was talking about it, and so I decided to pick it up, and I'm so glad that I did. I am very, very excited to continue on with the rest of the series. I don't think I will be picking it up immediately because now I feel like reading. I'm going by mood reading, and I feel like reading I don't know, because I really don't want to start another series since now I just started Addicted to You. I don't know. I don't know what I want to read next. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to think on it. I'm going to really marinate in it, and then I'll come back to you and tell you what I've started if I start anything, because I feel like there's so many options right now that I'm having decision fatigue and I don't know what to pick. So maybe if I take a break and I don't think about it for a little bit and maybe decide tonight or later tomorrow, then maybe I'll know what I want to read. But as of right now, all of them seem interesting, but I also don't want to start a new series. So I don't know, but I'll let you know when I do start something, I promise. Saturday today. Today is the last day of this challenge. I will be doing the last day of me reading on my iPad to see how many books I can read and if it's worth it for me to get a Kindle or not. So today, I believe yesterday I was telling you that I didn't know what to read because there were so many options. I did end up getting Ricochet, which is like a novella in the Addicted to You series, and then I got, what else did I get? I got this hockey romance, and it's called The Enforcer by Avery Keelan. And those were added to the options of which book I'm going to read, and then I ended up not knowing which one I wanted to read because everything sounded good to me. And so I decided to do a like random number generator, and I just basically looked up, pick me a number between 1 and whatever. And the book that ended up being picked is The Wrong Bride by Katharina Mora. The reason why I got this book is because I saw a quote of it on TikTok, on like a TikTok slideshow. It's always that way. Whenever I see a romance book that's being quoted on TikTok, I end up getting it usually most of the time because sometimes it's available at my library and other times it's like 99 cents and it's not really expensive at all for me to get it. And so I ended up getting it and I did start it. I'm on page 18 out of 262, chapter 4. And so far it's really, really interesting. It's basically about this girl who, her name is Raven, and she's a fashion designer, and she was engaged to this guy. His name is Eris. They were supposed to get married so they can merge their two families together because both of their families are really, really rich, and they both have empires that they built respectively. And so they were supposed to get married and bring those two empires together. But then I guess something ends up happening. Raven brings her sister to like this party. Eris sees Hannah, and mind you, Eris and Raven are already engaged at this point, and they're like a thing, and they're going to get married, and things were happening until he sees Hannah, and he decides that he can't take his eyes off of her for the entire night. And so now Hannah and Eris are getting married, but Raven is still in love with Eris, and she can't tell him because obviously her sister used to be sick when she was younger, and nobody thought that she would live to be this old. And so now Raven is basically helping do the wedding of Eris and her sister, and she's in love with him and she can't tell him. So it's gonna be a very painful book, and I'm excited for it because I love me some angst. I'm gonna read a little bit more because 18 pages is nothing, and I've been meaning to read this book for a very long time. So guys, I'm reading The Wrong Bride by, I don't even know, Katharina something. And the guy, Eris, is so in love with Raven, and he's too blind to see it. Look, by the way, that's my cat. Yeah, he's entirely too blind to see how he's so in love with her. But like one of the guys, they go to like this mall to buy her sister a birthday present, and the guy at the mall flirts with her or like acts different with her, and he's like, oh my god, I'm the biggest fan because she's a model. And he has him fired that same day. And then he goes and hires 2 bodyguards from like the person he hates the most just to protect her from men even coming at her. Which I'm like, how are you marrying her sister when you're this down horrendous for her? Make it make sense. I'm eating it up. I'm eating it up. I'm eating it up. I love this book. I love it. I love it. Welcome. It is Saturday night and I just finished reading for the night. It is 9:07 p.m. and I don't see myself reading anymore because I've read for a very, very long time today. And I usually don't read on weekends, so that says a lot. I'm on chapter 28 on page 101, 38% in, and I've read for 150 minutes today. I read for 2.5 hours today, and like I said, I'm 38% into The Wrong Bride by Katharina Mora, and I'm loving it. I am loving it. I am loving it. I am loving it. I'm eating it up. Yum, 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 yum. He is down horrendous. I love reading books about a man who is down horrendous because Eris, there's no getting up for that man. You will not see me finish this book in this video because obviously today is the last day. We're done. We're finished with reading, but I will 100% be finishing it probably tomorrow or the day after. From what I know, the other books following in this series are like interconnected standalones, so they follow different characters that are related to the characters of this book. I don't know if I'm gonna be interested enough in reading them because usually reading the first book or reading the book about the characters I'm really interested about is enough for me. But if I feel like I'm really enjoying the writing of this one, even though it's a little bit repetitive, so I'm not really liking that aspect of it. It's very, very repetitive to where you would have like two sentences following each other that say the same exact thing but in different wording. I don't like that about this book, but I am very much eating it up. Reading for 2.5 hours on a Saturday is unheard of for me unless I'm doing a 24-hour readathon. I usually don't read a lot on the weekends because usually I save my reading for the weekdays, and then on the weekends I'm very, very busy. But today, even though I was busy, I found myself picking up my iPad because I had nothing else to do and I was already on my iPad. So I found myself reading for longer than I would have, or longer, or like just reading in general when I wouldn't have. So yeah, I will see you with the wrap up, but that is it for now. Thank you for sticking around. And sorry for how chaotic this video was. That is it. So this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. It's the end of the week. Let's talk about what I finished and what my thoughts have been about this week. So I first started with The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, and I decided to soft DNF that for a different day because I really wasn't feeling the insta-lustiness of it. And even though I love Lauren Asher and Love Redesigned is actually one of my favorite books, period, this was a miss for me just because of how insta-lusty it was, and I feel like maybe I'll enjoy it better if I read it during a time where I'm feeling that and I want something like that. So that hasn't been a soft DNF. Then we did The Maddest Obsession, which is by Danielle Laurie, and I really, really enjoyed my time with that one. I find myself thinking of that book a lot. I don't know why. I didn't expect that it would happen. I think in retrospect, I'm gonna give it 3.75 stars because I enjoyed my time reading it, but it wasn't anything special. I think if you're looking for a dark romance, mafia romance, then I think you would really, really enjoy it because I think it was very well written. I read Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and I ate it up, loved it, enjoyed it. I think I'm giving it 4 stars because I really, really had a good time reading it. I do find myself thinking about it a lot, and I have never read anything like it, and I've never even seen a concept like it before, and so I just really had a good time reading it. I forgot I was reading a lot of the time when I was reading it, and I just lost myself in the story, and I really enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the plot, I enjoyed the setting of it all. I will definitely be continuing on with the rest of the series, and I am so glad that I decided to pick it up in this video because it's been on my TBR for a very long time. And then to finish off this video, I started and got, I believe, 100 pages into The Wrong Bride by Katharina Mora, and I am enjoying it so much. Right now I am 63% in. I have 100 pages left because I read 60 pages after I finished this video, and I'm eating it up. I think I'm probably gonna finish it today. I don't know how much I'm gonna give it. I think I'm between 3.75 stars and 4 stars because I'm really enjoying my time with it, and I do forget myself when I'm reading it. That is all the books that I've read in this video. Let's talk about if this has convinced me to get a Kindle or not. To be honest, I'm on the edge. I'm on the edge. I'm not gonna lie to you. My birthday, as I'm filming this, is next month, and I really want one. I really want one. I don't know if it's like a thing because everybody has one, or I don't know if it's because it looks cute and you can put stickers on the back of it. Obviously, I can do that with my iPad. I have like a thing at the back of it, you know, it's a tarot card. It's just like, as a book girly, seeing the girlies with a Kindle really makes me want one. So I don't know, I'm still undecided. Convince me down below if you think I should get one or not, and which one I should get, if you have one, what you think of it, if you read a lot on it, or if you feel like you read a lot more because you have a Kindle or not. I'm much more of a physical book type of girly. I like, you know, the feeling of a book, the smell of a book, like the feeling of opening a book and just, you know, having it in your hands. So I don't know if I would really enjoy having a Kindle, or if it's just because, like, having a Switch, because I saw everybody have a Switch and I wanted one, and so I got one, but now I don't use it. But with that being said, that is the conclusion of this video. To answer the question, yes, I do feel like I read a lot more this week than I have like previous weeks because I've been in a reading slump, but I don't know if that's just because I was in a reading slump or because it was easier to have my iPad. That is it. That is the conclusion for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you enjoyed it because I feel like this was a very different video and it was very chaotic, and I feel like I don't know if I like it or not. So let me know if you enjoyed it down below. Let me know if you want me to do a part 2. Maybe to convince myself around 2. I don't know. I really want one, guys. I don't know. But thank you so much for watching. If you watched all the way to the end, that means the world to me. I hope you have the very best day. Treat yourself to something nice, and I'll see you guys again next week with another video. Goodbye.